Want me to scooch this further?
We're live.
Or do you?
That's pretty good.
I'm good. I gotta go to makeup room first. Get my makeup on.
Slide over. Don't leave it on it.
But you want me to time public comment? Run the timer. Usually Joe does it, but I don't see Joe. So did I. 'Cause he told me.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him. That's odd.
Seven.
Seven. Is it? Are you sure?
This is only good after you hear that. So as soon as that's going to come to what I would say was that's coming.
Huh? No, it's a check. It's a check. It's getting approved tonight, but it needs to be in, so we got the discount on it. So I told her I'd get it to her in time, but it's not official until they,
Yep.
Call the meeting to order. Commissioners, please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray. O Lord God, we come before you in prayer, acknowledging the blessing of government and administration. You are a God of order and have blessed us with the establishment of governing officials to provide civil harmony and concord. Be with us in this meeting and give us strength and wisdom to pursue goals which please you. Grant us the courage to support those things which are right and according to your ordinances. We ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Roll call.
Hughes, Libby, Crook.
Here.
Tellini,
Here.
Ritzky.
Here.
Approval of agenda. Is there any additions or deletions? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move, Mr. Chairman, to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Motion support to approve the agenda. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Conflict disclosure. Does anybody have conflict? Hearing none. Minutes of the January 31st meeting. Do you have a chance to look them over?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
And the motion and support to approve the minutes from the January 31st meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes from the workshop for January 31st. It was a short one.
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we approve these minutes.
Second.
Got a motion and support to approve the minutes from the workshop. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second, minutes before you go.
No, I have a different count.
Claims audit. Let's look at the claims audit. Big change there was the JFR Architects. On the HVAC system, $20,000 payment, $20,045. Apparently it came in late. This month. Pfizer Group. We saw, we saw.
My last communication with the drain commissioner was that the next step would be that it goes to a judge to decide the values per lot. So say you were on a lakefront lot, you'd pay a higher premium on the assessment than a back lot. But that's going to be worked out, as I believe, between the judge and the Spicer Group. And it's going to take a while. Bob had mentioned it's going to be at least a year on that. So
Started yet.
right. And so where it goes from there, I don't know yet. I'm learning as I
We got
go.
the first bill from them.
Yeah.
Everything else is, through finance council. Everything else is basically month stuff.
Mhm.
Target Alpine is on there too, half of their payment, their contract. That being said, any questions on it?
None for me.
We approved the claims audit amount of $204,623.45.
I support.
And the motion support. Thanks, let's roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Tellini,
Yes.
Presque.
Yes.
Here. Citizens appearing before the board. I can't see. Is it Rachel? Is that Rachel?
No, I can't.
Rachel Gibson.
Mhm.
He's great on video, I'm sure. This is my. I went to a lot of public meetings in Chicago. So you come stand up so you can all see and hear. Hello, good evening. My name is Rachel Goodstein. I reside at 126 South First Street in Rogers City, and I also own acreage that my parents had since the early sixties in Rogers Township. And the reason I'm here today is unfortunately I was not feeling well at the last meeting, which is when the target Alpino fellow was here and gave a report, and I was just wondering if he had filed some sort of written report and how I go about seeing it, because I was really interested in that. And I also want to acknowledge that because I wasn't feeling well, I haven't gotten back to you to the email she sent me about election results, but I'll get caught up. But is there a place, or how do I go about seeing, did he have a written report that he?
Yeah, yep, and we can provide that, just stop up in the office, or
Okay.
if you feel like sticking around after the meeting, you can follow me up there, we'll take care of it tonight for you. If not, I'll be in there all day tomorrow.
Okay, I'll probably come by and get it instead of this. evening.
75
Okay,
pages
great.
long.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Wayne?
Anybody else? I'm Amelia from Alice Township. At the last meeting, I mentioned that I had filed a FOIA request for the whatever reference that Mr. Wirgo provided regarding his oral presentation about prayer in a public place, in a public entity. And I did receive a response to that, and I emailed you my reply based on what I assumed his reference was made to a case called Town of Greece v. Galloway. And if you research that case and take the time to read my thing, and I'm not an attorney, and the judge is in the audience here, so I'm gonna be careful what I say. But his reference to Town of Greece v. Galloway has absolutely no resemblance to what is happening here in our county. And I presented you with my information. It's been forwarded to the attorneys. And I would appreciate if we could share our prayers here and not have an exclusive prayer forcing a Christian ideology. Now, I mentioned to Mr. Presque after the last meeting, my wife and I were here, we were the only ones that spoke here that didn't profess to be Christians out loud, that weren't asking for money. Everyone else that came here asking for money, the first thing out of their mouths were that they were Christians. So whatever you're doing here is having an effect on people that are showing up here. They profess to be Christians in hopes of being in good standing with your board. And it's incredibly dangerous to be secular in any way, shape, or form and prevent other people from sharing their prayers with you at the same time. So I would encourage you to reconsider your action. Take the time to read what I read. The Town of Greece v. Galloway in no way references a separate prayer by a public entity exclusive of the public. Thank you.
I don't know your name. I'm sorry.
I'm Vicki Fields, and I'm here from Presque Township. And here as president of the Presque Harbor Association, there's a lot of concern of the members of the Harbor Association regarding the special assessment district. So I would ask this board to keep the Presque Harbor Association board and executive director aware of what's happening so that we can communicate with our members. Last month, we were provided a letter, so we posted that on our website. We also posted what we knew, and we also posted a link for that special assessment district town hall meeting. So I'm just asking if you would please, as a county who has made a decision to tax people that are just because they're part of the Harbor Association, they're not real happy. So if you keep us informed, we can notify our members. And I also want you to realize when you make these decisions, you have a large impact on the Harbor Association itself, the Presque Harbor Association, because our members pay dues. In those dues, it's because they either own a lot or they own a house on a lot. Some people own a lot of lots besides their house. So those that are just using the amenities and live somewhere else all throughout the United States and Canada have a lot that they're paying dues on. If they choose that they think this assessment is going to be a lot for them because they don't live on a lake, they live on have a lot in the woods that they don't even have a house on. If we lose a lot of lots, we lose a lot of revenue. So I think you need to keep that in perspective, that our revenue is what keeps our facilities running and pays our staff. We don't make any extra money for a 501c7. So there's no way that we can get grants and such to generate. We have a pool that's failing. So if you add an assessment, am I gonna get my pool assessment? So please, please, please keep that in mind. I don't know why you have to decide that the Harbor Association members are involved, and I would like to know why. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
All right. My name is Paul Daggy, and I have a house on Grand Lake, and I have a lot in the development as well. And I have asked a question via email in December, of which I really never got an answer on it. I went to the January 16th meeting where the attorneys, folks hired to give us a presentation on what the special assessments all meant. And I asked a question there of Robert, the drain commissioner, and he couldn't give me an answer. I sent an email to your clerk here just recently, and I did not get an answer from him. My question to the board is, it's my understanding that the law that you're attempting to update with the hiring of the attorneys and I believe the supervisor group allowed you to either create or not create a special assessment district. And I believe the prior board decided to create the special assessment district for Grand Lake and Lake East. What I don't understand is I'm trying to really seek to understand what was the rationale behind that decision. I mean, the funding of the Grand Lake, any Grand Lake dam work that had to be done, inspections, came out of the general fund forever, basically. And now that the law needs to be updated, and I get the lake level and all that, and the banking of the water, I understand all that, agree with that. But why does a special assessment district have to be created when it's already taken care of out of the general fund? So can you answer the question about what was the rationale for the decision to be made when you had a choice not to create it, do all your homework, then make a decision later on whether you're going to create it, but instead you created it without all the homework being done? Can you answer the question about the rationale behind that?
I was in here that day.
Well,
Actually, we need Bob for that one, really.
yeah, well, he asked Bob, but he didn't get an
Yeah,
answer.
he kind of skirted all around the answer for the question. excuse me.
Well, he's. The court order mandates that the county control the lake levels.
I understand that. And I don't, I think it's the right thing to do to update you gotta follow the law, and I get it. And I know they wanna update it so they can bank water, which is a good thing, because I live in Grand Lake and I know right now it's super low and there's water still draining down. And even that, it's pushing ice up on my shoreline, pushing my shore back already. Pile about 3 feet high of dirt in front here already. It's not even, anywhere close to breaking. I still want to understand the rationale on the decision of why the special assessment district had to be created when the money has already been coming out of the general fund. Correct. So I still haven't gotten a good answer from anyone. And you still have a chance. I guess you still have a chance to reverse that. I mean, you guys can do that.
The special assessment is gonna address anything in the future of Wholesome.
Well, I understand
Ceases
that's Lake Esau. Nothing to do with Grand Lake.
Oh, you're
And
talking Grand
I
Lake.
said this, and
You're
I said
talking
this
Grand Lake.
at the meeting. I said, Lake Esau is really and Bob even told me this in the correspondence. It's a kettle lake. It has no in and no out. And we understand that the biggest issue for that whole area is Lake Esau. It's been like that forever. I mean, My family's been in Grand Lake since 1955, and so Lake Esaw has always been a problem. But it just appears that that vote yes would say that you want to get more and more people involved in this, so we could, you have a bit bigger bank of money. And we were assured by the attorneys that Lake Esaw is going to be Lake Esaw and Grand Lake's going to be Grand Lake. But like me as a lot owner in the Presque Harbor development, I have to pay for Grand Lake and Lake Esaw. So the whole thing, it just seems like it's a mess. Gotten out of control and way ahead of where it should be at this point. I still would like an answer about the rationale. I mean, was it the attorneys who pushed this? Was it because Holton Lake and, you know, Higgins Lake's in litigation, I understand over all this stuff.
Well, you'll have to get that answer from the drain commissioner, because he's the one that's working with the attorneys and the engineers.
But he wouldn't give me an answer. I asked him,
Probably doesn't have one yet.
well, the rationale, so you folks or your predecessors had to vote on this at some point. Somebody was either convinced or you have facts or data to back up your decision about you voting for creation of special. That's what I'm trying to understand. And you still could take it back if you wanted to do your homework first and then come back. Everybody's in an uproar about this, and it's like, it's not helping the situation. It's been better to do the homework first and then come back and say, here's all the facts, here's what we know, here's what we want to do. What do you think? Is there any way that I could get an answer on the question about why, what was the rationale behind voting for the creation of the special assessment districts?
Not at this moment.
Is there someone to follow up with me?
I will.
Okay,
Yeah, once I know. Yeah,
want you to know the answer to my question?
yes. Because I don't right now.
Well, I understand that.
Mhm.
That's fair.
And I live in your neighborhood, so
You do?
sure.
Where?
I live in the development.
Oh, you do?
Yes, yes. I'm a member as well. This affects me as well.
What's your thoughts?
I don't have enough information. You know, I'm getting up to speed here in a month and a half. And
Understood.
so, and we're working on a few other things that I can't discuss this time, but some possible other options. But can't talk about it yet.
Okay. All right. So, but I appreciate you. offering
Sure.
To give me some.
Yeah, when I know anything, I'll get a hold of you.
But I want the rationale from before. Is there any?
If I get that, yeah.
It's gotta be in the minutes somewhere, right?
I would imagine, yes. Time.
Thank you.
Thank
Mhm.
you. Anybody else? Public? Finished business. This business, new business. Circuit Court Judge Aaron Goff.
Well, good evening. Goff here, I'm your circuit judge. My circuit, 53rd Circuit, covers both Presque County and also Sheboygan County. I'll be coming around, I like to come around once a year and kind of update you on the circuit court operations and answer questions. That's not what I'm doing tonight. Tonight I'm here as the chair of the Presque County Courthouse Security Committee. To kind of give you a background of that work and what we've been working on for really 5 or 6 years. And renew a proposal that we've made to now. This will be the third separately constituted board that we've made the proposal to. So in 2019, the Michigan Supreme Court ordered all courthouses to convene a judicial courthouse security committee. And so in Presque County, we have one, and on the committee, it consists of most all the county level elected officials, including there's a seat on there for the board of commissioners. So the chair is a member of the board of the committee or your designee. your 3 judges, your prosecutor, clerk, register of deeds, sheriff. We also have the indigent defense. We have the emergency manager. So we meet quarterly and review the security procedures and protocols of courthouse, address any incidents that have happened, and make recommendations to you, the governing board, about courthouse security. And we've been meeting at least quarterly for the last 6 years now. One of the principal issues that we've talked about during that time is the front door security and a request for there to be screening on entry into the facility for weapons. And sort of the history of that issue is back in 2002, the Michigan Supreme Court adopted recommendations for courthouses that all courts should screen for weapons at every access point. Weapons screening is an essential part of court security. All persons entering the court facility should be subject to security screening. That was 23 years ago now that they recommended that. In 2010, this county formed an ad hoc security committee that lasted for a time. And then in 2015, reconstituted an ad hoc committee to look at that, and that lasted for a short time. Out of that committee in 2016, then Judge McLennan and then Sheriff Presque recommended to the board, so this is now 9 years ago, recommended to the board a single point of entry, which now we have, a single point of public entry, and weapons screening for the courthouse. That was 2016. Then in 2019, we created the Judicial Courthouse Security Committee, and now this is a permanent committee that meets quarterly. And we gathered well, in 2022, we asked the court security specialist from the Michigan Supreme Court to come up to our courthouse and do sort of a security audit and do important recommendations. What we found as we went through that he had actually conducted a review back in 2008. And then when he made it in 2022, 14 years later, many of the same things that he had recommended in 2008, he was still continuing to recommend in 2022. So I hope the message that you get from that is for 20 plus years, there have been recommendations to screen for weapons and to make some changes to courthouse security. And frankly, little has been done. And in 2022, his recommendation, the highlight of that was that security screening should be implemented for all visitors to the building. It should operate the entire time the court building is open to public for business, and all persons entering the courthouse should be screened for weapons. So we made this recommendation to go. So then, in support of that, back in 2022, when we got that recommendation, I asked the state of Michigan, well, how many of our, I mean, you go into a courthouse down in Genesee County or Wayne County, of course, you know, you're going through security. When you go into courthouses in rural northern Michigan, sometimes you encounter front door security, sometimes you don't. So I asked Lansing, well, tell me what percentages this happens. And they did not have the answer to that. So we did the homework ourselves, and we contacted all of the counties in northern lower Michigan and the upper peninsula. And we did our own sort of survey. Now, I think probably because I called half the courts in the state, now the state is gathering that data through the annual report that we file as a courthouse security committee. They ask us, do you have front door screening? What's it look like? But they didn't ask that at that time. What we found was that 15 counties had weapons screening at the front. Now, this is data from 2022. I don't know if any of this changed. 15 counties in northern Michigan had weapons screening at the front door of the courthouse. An additional 7 had screening for weapons before you enter the courtroom. And there were 14 counties, including Presque County, that had no weapons screening in the building or courtrooms. So that means about 4 out of 10 of similarly situated counties, Presque, do not screen for weapons. So that's kind of the current status of, sort of take a census of that. And the security committee formed sort of an ad hoc group within our committee to look at this, and the proposed to the whole committee. The sheriff's department proposal is that then they could have a full-time deputy that would sit at the front door when the building's open and screen for weapons upon entry. And so then the entire security committee approved that request. So we presented that to the Board of Commissioners in October of 2022, and no action was taken by the board. Then there was a newly constituted board, and we made the same presentation in April of 2023, and again, the proposal was not approved. So then in December of 2023, the committee came back to the board and asked for at least an interim step for the purchase of a metal detector, which you see as a criminal. So that was approved. So we have made that step, but it's not staff remain. So now the policy in the building is if a department wants its use for a particular special occasion, they can ask the sheriff's department with 48 hours notice, and the sheriff's department will see that it is made. So we have done that for, I think, a couple jury trials. We have done that for a couple criminal issues that we had, but it hasn't been used a whole lot. I think our bailiff is going to start tracking, how often that is used. And we talked as a committee in our fourth quarterly meeting, and the request was that I would come back to again a newly constituted board early in the year. Before you get into your budget cycle, and renew this request, that you would, as you go through your budget cycle, consider adding a full-time position to the sheriff's department to have front door weapons screening. On any given day in this courthouse, people enter to conduct business with lots of public servants. And everyone employed at the courthouse and entering the courthouse, they're entitled to have a safe environment. Lots of the issues to be addressed here are, they can create strong emotions and they can be quite volatile. In your courtrooms in this building, people's freedom is sometimes taken away, and they're taken away literally in chains and locked away. Other times they don't get locked up, but the families of their victims think that they ought to have been. And I just want you to imagine, one of your family members is victimized, and you don't think the justice system is doing a good job with that. There's right now zero effort to prevent you from walking into our courtroom armed with a firearm and to make your opinion known in that manner. And I think that's just a dangerous situation. And once something happens, it's too late to go back in time and prevent it from happening. We, of course, do have an armed bailiff in the courtroom. But if anybody's planning to do harm, well, that's the first shot they're taking, right? So it's just a dangerous situation. We have it's not just the criminal days. Judge Gilner presides over the family division docket, and sometimes that's more volatile than the criminal docket, where somebody's parental rights are either temporarily suspended, visitation is restricted, custody disputes are decided, or sometimes parental rights are permanently terminated. Think about how strong your emotions would be if the government is trying to say, you're an unfit parent and you may never again see your child. So people are put into extreme situations in our courtrooms. They deal with the prosecutor's office, victims, criminal defendants, people accused of crime, people victimized by crime, people with serious crisis family situations. We have tax issues, foreclosure issues. So there's all of these things that can cause a lot of emotional volatility. And I think in our day and age, it's just incorrect to think that it can't happen. And so it continues to be not just my request, but the request of basically all your elected officials of the Courthouse Security Committee. Has been our continuing request for now several years, that you would consider as you go through your budget cycle this year, whether to put front door security to stop people from coming into the courthouse. I have I can give you just a written little summary of what I've done here, what I've presented to you today. I'll leave that for you to pass around. Yeah, and I'd answer any questions that you might have. I mean, I know one of the, other than, of course, if money's no object, you can do all sorts of things. I understand. Financial concern. But the other concern I've heard, the only non-financial concern I've heard in the past has been, we want a courthouse and a county building to be welcoming to the people that we serve. And so sometimes people say, well, gee, you don't want to walk in and have it be full time. And I get that. But the nice thing is with you as the governing board of the county, in conjunction with the sheriff's department that would run that, it can be how you want it to be, where it doesn't have to be, you know, I've gone into some courthouses and it's a very, very unfriendly environment at the security point. In fact, one time as a practicing lawyer, I almost got myself arrested and thrown in jail on contempt of court because me and the security issue got in a bit of a disagreement about how courteous or discourteous he was being. And only when he threatened to take me into custody did I sort of realize I better back myself right the heck down. But I've been in other courthouses where the security point is a friendly environment, and it's just a way for people to feel safe and to be safe. It doesn't have to be an adversarial, unfriendly point of entry. And I don't think that Sheriff Brubaker would want to have an unfriendly point of entry. And I would trust him to make sure that he's training his officer to deal with people appropriately. So that continues to be the request of your security committee, and I'd answer any questions that you might have.
Last year, Judge, I had an opportunity to be in your courtroom in Sheboygan. And my wife and I were surprised. We went through the front entrance. And there was 2 officers and a metal detector. We were forced to go through it, which we did. We passed the flying colors and we got up into your courtroom. I guess the question I might have is the county legally liable if they do not have any precaution for people bringing weapons into the courthouse? You got the metal detector, but it's useless if not manned. And so what is your opinion about that, like liability?
Well, I mean, I would be stepping out of my lane to express an opinion about that. You have civil counsel, you have an insurer, and I'd refer you to those folks. I guess I would just say, you know, that an ounce of prevention is worth double the cure. And, you know, I'd rather that we prevent a shooting incident at the courthouse than ever have to respond.
I guess I have another question. This courthouse, Darren, is it open about 8 in the morning?
I believe that's when they unlock. The door
Correct.
is at 8, yes.
If we did hire a deputy to man that machine out there, the normal is from 8 until what, 5?
The courthouse is 8 to 4:30.
However, we have a meeting right now. We got guests, we're here. Would there be somebody manning it in the evening when we have meetings here? How about Sheboygan? Is that how that works there?
Well, now you're getting into like front door security 2.0, 3.0.
Well, yeah,
So there's
right.
different generations of how you do this. And so just as an example of what has happened in Sheboygan is that initially when they staffed that, well, when they initially did it, it was an unmanned automated security system, which was a disaster. Because you'd walk through there and it would lock you in, you can't get out, now you're talking to somebody through a buzzer. That was not good. So then they brought in some folks. The model that they have there is several part-time contracts with retired law enforcement. But the sheriff's department here thought that would not work as a model here. They would need it to be one full-time position, and then they would staff it as hoc as they needed for vacations or things like that. But the second generation of the Sheboygan entry was they staffed it from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., which is interesting because the building's open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Yeah.
So half hour at the end of the day, no security. So then it was only about 5-6 years ago that we talked the Sheboygan County Board into approving that extra half hour. And then there's nighttime meetings in the Sheboygan building.
Right.
And so there was no security at those. So we've been, as our committee in that county has been going to the board and asking for that. That's not been approved, but they have an interim measure where people come in it's an after hours meeting, the commissioners meeting, commissioners room, you're gonna come in a side door entry and there's a physical gate that's gonna bar you from getting other points of the building. But it's a work in progress. And so, you know, I'm at least, we're at least asking that we would get it to the starting point during the normal business hours. And then, but I mean, I agree that really the standard for a courthouse to be secure is that anytime it's open to public entry, you're screening for weapons. Because if you're only screening for weapons in the daytime, but not at the evening meeting, well, I can just come in the evening meeting and stow a pistol in the courthouse. And then I get it in the morning when I come through security. So it doesn't take a genius to plan out that.
Mr. Boygan's situation where you said there's a kind of a back door where the commissioners come in instead of a front door. What about guests? They have access to that
Yeah,
little back door?
in the evening, they unlock the side door.
And the press, they can all sneak in that back way.
But that's not ideal either. What they really need to do is anytime public's coming in, because even right now, somebody could, you know, hide something in a restroom. So, but it's, you know, it's continuing to take steps ahead, steps to forward it and to make things safer. You're never gonna, you know, make it 100%. You know, I understand that, but just to continue to move the ball forward. So that's what we're asking. And in the written proposal, these were the 22 numbers. The sheriff's department estimated that cost for a new time deputy, depending on some insurance issues, would be anywhere between $52,000 to $73,000 or $74,000.
That's working an 8.5-hour day.
Yeah, it's for one full-time.
That's just one deputy.
Yeah, it's just adding,
You only got
one
one.
deputy that whose primary duty would be there.
Right.
Obviously, people get sick or take vacation, so they have to have other people filling in. But their thought was that if you approved one additional full-time position, they could make that staff.
I appreciate your
Must have
presentation.
went up a little. I talked to the sheriff and he was telling me like 100,000.
Okay, well, this was the 2022 number.
Did our sheriff say that wasn't an option? Retired law enforcement?
Well, at the time when we looked at that, he thought it's, and I don't want to speak for the sheriff, but recruiting is tough in law enforcement these days. And if you have a bunch of part-time contracts, now you have to find, you know, 5 or 6 folks to do that. And so even hiring, I'd rather find one full-time person to hire than 5 part-time people to hire, because finding 5 people is a lot tougher than finding one these days.
Yeah.
So I think it was mostly that issue, just the issue of the availability of qualified personnel to do it.
I mean, I talked to him last week and he's got to replace one deputy now and he's looking for a correction officer. He's having a heck of a time finding somebody.
Yes, that's right. It's tough all over the criminal justice system. Prosecutors are having a hard time hiring new prosecutors. It's challenging.
Questions?
I think we should have a discussion with Joe and look things over, but he did have a person who recently stepped down from his department and is working for the city now and kind of freelances on his own. I wonder if we approached him, if it would be something he would be interested in. He lives
We could talk.
right here, yeah,
Talk to
maybe,
the sheriff.
yeah. But he's
Yeah, definitely.
qualified.
I mean, you know, there are different models to do that. Some counties hire outside agencies, but our committee thought and the sheriff's department thought that doing it in-house through the sheriff's department would be the best way to go. So there's a seamless interaction between front door and the sheriff's department side. Because they'd be the ones responding if there's any emergency situation.
I don't suppose there's too many sheriffs deputizing anybody to do that kind of stuff. Is there?
Just to do front door security.
Like veterans.
Like what?
like retired veterans.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the only one I'm familiar with is the Sheboygan model, where it's just an hourly contract.
That's really the only one I'm familiar with. Through.
But you gotta have a pool of people that would be willing to do that. And whatever model works out best for the county with the sheriff's department. I mean, the recommendation we're making is based on what the sheriff's department had thought would be the best fit. But if in your communications with the sheriff's department, there's a different way to get that done, the committee itself would defer to the sheriff's department as the security professionals for how best to do that. For sure.
Right in the morning.
And there's always a challenge. And I know that you guys have to juggle a whole lot of responsibilities, but I just think, especially when we're in an age where more than 20 years, for more than 20 years, this has been the recommendation for courthouses. I think at some point in the future, it's going to be at all courthouses. And I don't think people see it as unfriendly. They sort of expect that would happen. You go in government buildings and you can't bring, and listen, I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, people's right to keep and bear arms. But there's a time and a place for everything. And having somebody have a firearm in a courtroom while their nephew is being sentenced to prison, I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment. I'm not a big fan of that gun possession at that date and time for officers.
As a judge, do you make special allowances for certain people working here where they can conceal carry?
Yes, so the procedure that we have, so right now, if somebody did have a weapon in the courthouse, they, under current court order and law, would be subject to contempt of court penalty. And there's signage that it's a weapon-free courthouse, but we just don't have any mechanism to prevent it from happening. But if it was detected, they would be subject to arrest for contempt of court. And we do have a process where in both counties, if a county employee has a concealed pistol license, wishes to carry in the courthouse, they can make a request to me. I review it with the other two judges. And if we agree, we issue a letter that they're able to do that. And we give that to the sheriff's department as well.
More questions for the judge?
Me.
Okay, and then I thank Judge Gilner for coming. She sits on the committee as well. And, let us know if you, and you, Commissioner Fellini, you're welcome to attend our quarterly meetings.
I have, I
Copy
guess
of
I'm on the list there. I had
Great. Well, you can send your designee too, so you can boss Bob around and send him if you want. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank
your
you,
time.
Aaron. Presque Conservation District. Report presentation.
Good evening, hello.
I am here to introduce Presque Conservation District to you. We are a 75-year-old organization, and I have all of our staff here tonight and two of our 5 directors. I myself, Emily Freshett, I'm the district manager, and I've been here since 2021. Most of my career has been customer service. I came here from an organization that had a lot of aquatic biologists, so I was supporting them. I was also the president of the Isaac Walton League of America, the Central Ohio chapter, and one of the things that we did that I'd like to repeat here is we did stream monitoring. So I would like to introduce our district forester, Jacob Grahowski. Jacob was born and raised.
Hey.
You want me to introduce myself?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm Jacob Presque. I'm the district forester for both Sheboygan and Presque counties. But I'm based here at Presque Conservation District. And so as a district forester, I don't know if all of you are familiar with that position, but it's part of the Forestry Assistance Program, the statewide program funded by the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. And I meet with private landowners, talk to them about what their goals are private sector or the public sector that can help them do that. So that's consulting foresters or arborists or otherwise funding opportunities through the USDA, things like that. So last year I met with 118 landowners in fiscal year 2024 is 118 landowners, just over 10,000 acres. And the estimated value of the referrals to those private sector and public sector were $1.2 million. So a lot of people that are reaching out and interested in doing land management, and I'm glad to be here and able to work with them. Yeah, and like Emily said, I'm from Alpena originally. Family people. Steel original.
So they can, the people can just call you to cruise timber for them?
Well, I won't necessarily cruise the timber for them. So my position is really to be a source of source of technical information, non-biased technical.
They tell you what they want to do, and you can.
Or give them some advice. This program is very intentionally designed to not compete with the private sector. So things like cruising timber, something that of course. So I would refer them to one of those.
It's completely funded by MDARD then?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry for getting.
Thank you.
One of my favorite parts about working for Presque Conservation District is working for people who care. So next, I would like to introduce Lawrence Anderson.
I am he.
He is our secretary and a former officer of fraud, waste, and abuse for the Maui Police Department.
And been coming to Rogers City since the early 50s. We had a grandfather was smart enough to buy lakefront, so I moved to townies in the 50s, but I didn't retire till 2010. But I'm here now, and I'm really pleased to be able to serve on this board.
Thank you.
And last but not least, I would like to introduce Frank Sapio. And Frank retired in 2019 as the Assistant Director of the USDA Forest Service Forest Health Protection Unit. His early career was with the DNR, and he has 40+ years of experience as a forest management specialist, and he's our chairman. So I wanted to just briefly go over the programs that we offer. What our job is as the Conservation District is not only to run events like the community private scrap tire collections, helping clean up the community, but we also do the spring tree sale, and we help connect private landowners with federal funding. So one of our programs is the Hunting Access Program, also known as HAP. And what that does is it pays private landowners for allowing the public to come and hunt on their land. There's also funding with HAP for habitat improvement. So just to put some dates in your mind, everyone wants to know, when is our tree sale? Our tree sale this year is going to be April 25th and April 26th. Those are 2 pickup days. And then we have planned for about a week after that. On Saturday, May the 3rd, we're going to have a HAP field day at the Johnson property. So that's going to be a really fun thing. Besides FAP or HAP, we do FAP, that's what Jacob already mentioned, Forestry Assistance Program, and that's helping private landowners to create a forest management plan. Going along with that is the Qualified Forest Program, which provides a tax break to private forest owners for participating in their program. That does require a management plan and timber harvesting. So just wanted to be short and sweet today. Let me not forget though, we are also the county enforcement agent of the Soil Erosion and Sedimentation Control Program. Are any of you familiar with that? Just to gloss over the high points. any construction site that is within 500 feet of the lake or stream, or is 1 acre or more, requires a soil erosion permit. Basically, what our job is to go out to each construction site and make sure that no sediment is leaving that site and flowing onto an adjacent property or into a stream or a body of water or a wetland. So we have been doing this program since 2022. We took this program over from building and zoning. They have been performing the program. The building inspector had been actually performing the soil erosion inspection as well. And we got the program at that time. So it has been a bit of a learning curve. We had a bit of a legal entanglement. We had to get some insurance. That case was dismissed. And so lesson learned. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I'm the commissioner sitting on your group, and you held a 21st a meeting,
Yes, sir.
and I'm writing the names down, and Jacob's last name was what?
Rahusky?
Roski, okay, Jacob, sorry about that, it's a popular name up here in northern Michigan. Thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the 21st. Will you be there? All you men will be there? All right, looking forward to seeing you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the leave time by former sheriff department employee. Let loose from his job. He'll talk to us at finance a little bit about it. What's coming to him. We just action to.
I understand Sheriff Brubaker has approved payment to him,
Yes.
recommends it, and given that, I'm going to move that we do pay him.
There's a proposed verbiage
Where
on
is
the
it?
paper
Where
there
is
that,
it?
that'll cover what we need to do the thing. Yeah, right there.
Promotion in that order.
Got that thing, is that the one that we looked at earlier? Do we have to read this word for word then?
You should.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move to direct the clerk's office to process earned but unused leave time payment for Anthony Friday in a manner consistent with process if employee had given 14 days notice.
Support that. Motion support. Lead time bio. Roll call vote, please.
Fellini,
Yes,
Presque.
Yes.
Crook.
Yes.
motion carried. Next up, invoice from 1010 Technology.
Yeah, that invoice from 1010, basically, it would have just been in claims audit. The only reason it wasn't in claims audit, it's their standard monthly invoice, is because it also had all of the, those switches when we went down last month
The internet.
on there. And the only reason it wasn't in claims audit is we're gonna pay it, but we need to figure out which budget lines, how to allocate some of that. And I didn't want to hold up Laura's claims on Tuesday, so this just bought us the time to still code it, because it came in right before her claims was due to be run for finance. So and then if it would have came in, afterwards, after this meeting or a couple weeks before, it would have just been a regular claim. So everything else is standard on it. I just pulled it out so it didn't slow that down.
With the switches for when the computers went.
Yes,
down,
because the
shut
full
down.
amount of it is, a regular, but the switches on there, you'll see on the page 2, the hardware ones, there's a $1,400 one, a $900 one, and
And then
approximately
labor.
400. So those are the, kind of some of the extra, 7 on the next page. So,
The total amount, 5,000.
but the total is 5,398.33.
Is there a motion to pay our
Okay.
IT guy?
Motion to pay 1010.
Or
The motion is for to pay our IT 1010. Servicing our. computers. Roll call vote, please.
Presque,
yes,
Crook,
Yes.
Tellini.
Yes. Is that? Committee reports. Finance, we pretty much covered that. The claims audit. We did get the bill from the HVAC engineer. It was added to the claims audit, $20,000. And we sat down and met with them via Zoom, to bring the new board up to speed with what's going on with the whole HVAC system and the new alterations. Public health. Week.
I haven't had a meeting yet. with them.
Courthouse and grounds have a meeting this week,
No,
and no personnel. Special appointment committee reports. I have one road commission I can report out real quick.
okay.
Over here. New Kenworth semis, they took, it's ready for service, they've got it now, that they're pulling a gravel train with. They purchased it like 3 months ago. It's in service now. The foreman there, Keith, officially retired. He's running out his vacation in county town. Nick's taken over. He's real comfortable with the transition. Dave's real happy with it. The weather stations are at the county lines. They're being installed and they'll be able to be used very soon. 23 at the county line, Sheboygan County line with Monmouth County. Actually, the one on 33 is going to be right now away at Bakers. Permazine order was delivered. They got all the permazine for roads on the project list. Sheer Bluffs Highway. We're still working on Behringer Township. The citizens there are gonna cost share the permazine on Bluffs Highway. Because the township won't participate at all. It's gonna have, it's gonna run through our treasury. It has to. Just an in and out deal. That was basically it. Any other special appointments? Commissioner comments.
as a new commissioner, I listened to Judge Gothier's report today. I understand that he appeared before 3 different boards, these boards. So far, nothing is done. And my question is, we're a new board. If we were interested in following up on Judge Gothier's suggestion that we get at least somebody at the main entrance that could check people coming in for weaponry, how do we go about that? What's the steps we take to implement that? Do we refer to a budget committee? What do we do?
Well, at budget time, you'll have to find the money in the budget. Because it's gotta be through the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department I talked with him and he already said that they don't have the money to.
So in other words, if we wanted to listen to what the gentleman said here, we need to go through the sheriff's department and see if they have the money to budget it. And if they don't have the money, then we as a board sit here, sorry, nothing again.
Unless you can find it somewhere else. I talked to Joe about it. And he talked about part-time, you know. Using part-time retired people. But as far as he would prefer, like the judge said, a deputy. But he told me it's in excess of $100,000 by the time you hire. By the time you pay the wages and benefits. He just doesn't have it in his budget. He was emphatic about that.
Well, I'm concerned we get a deranged individual who's got an axe to grind, who walks into the building with a pistol and just shoots indiscriminately people. We had a sheriff killed in 1979 by a deranged man. We had a shooting out here in Akiak Road by a deranged man that came within inches of killing one of our deputies. And they're out there. And I'm concerned if there's anything we could do, I'm on board with it.
Look into our budget. Any other commissioner comments?
Just on that topic, I would like to pursue talking to the gentleman that I know that used to be a deputy, see if he might be interested in a part-time situation.
Yeah, to do some good jobs.
Well, they know each other. He used to work for him. He might be the perfect guy for this.
Rob, you're talking about the same thing I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't understand.
Sorry.
Any other comments? No other government officials here? No, not tonight. Any correspondence? No correspondence. Motion for payroll then.
This is customarily done at every monthly meeting.
Yep.
And it's a payroll for everybody that's on the county staff that gets paychecks from the county.
No, this is
This
to
is-
authorize your payment and per diems for this meeting.
For this meeting,
Oh, I see. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Support.
support. For the motion, support for payroll. Roll call, please.
Brooke,
Here.
You did say yes, didn't you?
Yeah,
Rob?
yes.
Talini,
Yes.
Spritsky.
Yes,
I thought you said here.
I said here.
I wasn't sure.
Then I thought, wait a minute, wrong roll call.
Motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and support.
Support.
Subject to call the chair. Next meeting is. In favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Meeting's adjourned.
Pete, write your article.